Jeremy.
Yes, sir.
Rubin. And Jeremy Rubin has spoken at one of our meetings in the past, and he has gone really much bigger since the last time I've seen him. I'm so thrilled to hear that things are thriving and you're doing good.
Yes, thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Gather around, folks. I know it's been a very long day, and we're all, we've had a ton of information just shooting at us. Like, it's probably, everyone is like on information overload, so I get it. I know where you're coming from. So I will do my best to tailor this to that. One thing I want to grab real quick, actually, can you grab me water? Awesome. We'll let everyone come and sit down, because I know I will probably get parched if I'm talking quickly. You learned something today?
Yes.
Awesome. You learned something today?
Oh yeah.
You learned something? You learned something? Hey, that's great. Cool. So I'll start with why I'm here. First off, why am I here? Well, because I think everybody should be involved in real estate, at some level, whether it be completely passive, completely passive, completely active, or somewhere in between, in the model that best fits what fits you. So that's why I'm here, right? I believe everybody should be in real estate. That's how I found freedom. That's what got me out of my 9 to 5. I'll be going into that expeditiously through this. You'll have to stay with me. This slide deck is like not meant for. It's like 60 slides, so we're going to go blast. But what I want everybody to get out of this today is that if I can do real estate, you can do real estate. I worked 13 years in retail sales. 11 of those at Verizon Wireless, and it was great for a long time, but eventually it got to the point where I couldn't see myself doing that for another 40 years on just, incremental raises, 3.5% a year if I'm a top performer. And I always had this drive to perform and do my best at anything I do. And it got to a point where I realized the company needed me more than I needed them, and that's kind of why I was there for so long. That's why I had seen so many people come and go over the years. I was not keen to this in the beginning. I thought I was I had a scarcity mindset. I thought I needed this job. I really needed this. I was scared to take a leap. But it took me a while. Eventually I built up the courage. I took the leap, and any of us in this room have the potential to do that. So that's what we're going to talk about. I'll also say this, I'm really not going to sell you anything. I'm going to tell you about what I do sell, but throughout this, I might drop a few things, but I'm not going to try to sell you anything. My main goal is to open people's eyes here as to possibilities of getting involved in real estate and flips, or in some aspect on the Central Coast, what the possibilities are. And then take it and run with it. And we heard from some great speakers today that dropped some awesome nuggets, and you'll probably hear me saying some of the very similar things, because success is not a mystery. So the things that lead to behaviors that lead to the things you want to accomplish it's pretty it's very systematic, and it's just, you'll see that there's a lot of similarities between some of those things. So we'll talk a little bit about who I was, the things I did to become who I am now, and something that anyone can implement to get to the next level. And like I said, I'm going to be blasting through this. So you can get involved in more local deals right here on the Central Coast. I know because I started on the Central Coast, and one thing that when I was a newbie, you think that you can't find deals. It's generally hard. That's the hardest thing to do, is to find a deal. And so you get this this thought is passed around that there's not deals like in my area. I can't find deals in my area. There's deals everywhere else, but here. But in the reality, wherever you are, people are thinking that. Like they're thinking, like if you hear of somebody doing flips somewhere else, you think, okay, well, that works for them there. It'll work for you too here. Like there's always strategies that work in every market, because people buy and sell homes in every market. So there's deals to be had everywhere, even in California. So this is where I started. This is where I operate my business today. I'm based out of Santa Maria, California, just about an hour north of here. And most of our flips are from Paso Robles north down to Buellton, and pretty much everywhere in between. Got a couple flips in Oregon, done some in Long Beach, but primarily the Central Coast is where I play. So some of the ways that you can get involved in more local deals: fully active strategies, right? You want to learn how to fix and flip, you can do that. You want to be out there door knocking, you can do that. There's ways you can hit the pavement and actually do full-on fixing and flipping, right? Even hammer swinging, though I don't advise it unless that's your passion. First few flips, I did some work. I learned how to install hardwood floors in high school. Started at $30 a day for just kind of helping, not even cutting the boards, but just helping, just basically a runner, and then went up to $50 a day, and from there learned a little bit about hardwood, or actually laminate flooring, and did that on the first few flips homes that I flipped, but realized quickly that my talent was not in any of the carpentry, any of the construction aspect at all. I'm way more effective with a pen. So play to your strengths, figure out what you're good at, and to scale and to get to any level of other than live-in sort of flips, you really need to think of this as you're not going to be doing the hammer swinging. You're not going to be you're going to be hiring the contractors. So it's all about the highest and best use of your time and where you can position yourself most effectively in your business to turn the operation, to turn the wheels, to make it all go. On the completely passive side, we work with local investors too. So we work with private money investors that partner up with us on deals, anything from 10 to 13% annualized returns to as high as 20% net profit shares on what we net on our flips. And we list them in-house, so we also have, we make about 20% more per flip that way, is what it works out to be by saving on the commission. So if you are a realtor, if you're not a realtor, if you're want to get your hands dirty, want to make phone calls and talk to sellers and see, uncover their motivations, or if you just want to sit back and enjoy an iced tea, there's a way that you can get involved in real estate, even locally. So a big thing. That felt like one long run-on sentence. You guys want to hear about this stuff?
Yes.
Is this exciting? Is it interesting? Okay, cool. So before this, there's a huge foundation you got to really think about laying mindset. Paul talked about it. It's really the way you approach the world. We're conditioned, and he used the analogy of temperature, and changing your temperature. And I like to think of that as calibrating. Where you calibrate it at, it's basically the same thing. You need to recalibrate, because we're in the way society calibrates us in most cases is not set up in this way. And I had to break that mold, and that was part of leaving the corporate world. And then some of us are at different stages in this. And if you enjoy working in the corporate world, that is completely okay. It wasn't for me at the time. And there's things you can do in between too. You can be full entrepreneur, or you can be real estate agent, business. There's different, part of a team and still independent. So you got to figure out where you fit and what fits you, and then go with that, because there's a bigger thing here. You want to do this for happiness, like Tina said. It's basically you want to do this for a bigger purpose, your why, and that's such a huge thing. So it's like there's in every talk today, somebody said something that's like all contribute. So in high school, I was homeschooled until 10th grade. That was my first stepped on campus, first day in Napomo High School, first graduating class. So not really the person that you would expect ever to be talking on a stage, I think, or I didn't expect that. And it's basically because I was so I was scared to hit the live button. 2 years ago, I would never hit live on Facebook.
completely scared. So I was not that person. Like I would like, oh my God, if you hit live, it's like, they can't, end. Then someone told me, turn on the light. Then someone told me to go live, and we'll talk about that in a second. And that completely shifted.
Did they have live 2 years ago?
We did. Not like we do now on almost every platform, but Facebook, yeah. So I knew I enjoyed, I felt like I had this great homeschool education, but I was not naturally, I don't know if anybody is, but I definitely was not naturally an extrovert or somebody that was sociable in a way that, at the level that I wanted to be. So I felt like a lot of people feel like they don't fit in high school. I felt like I really didn't fit in high school. Felt like I was from another planet. But I wanted to, I recognized this. I'm like, how can I get better at this? How can I improve this part of my life, which I feel like is lacking? So I got a sales job. I'm like, okay, let's get as close around people as I can, to be so I can maybe have some shot at catching up. I felt like I was, behind. And I enjoyed it, and I enjoyed just being able to talk about the product I was selling, and that there was a lot of growth through there. So maybe what you're great at, you haven't discovered yet because you haven't tried it, and you won't know until you try it, because you would think man, this probably isn't where he would fit in, but actually it turned out to be a 13-year career in retail sales. So that went from Circuit City, led to Verizon right when they had the kiosks in there back in the day. One of those stores with a little Verizon kiosk inside. I was doing so great at Circuit City for $9.10 an hour. They're like, Verizon's like, hey, come work for us, you'll make commission. So that's what I did. And that was great for a long time. But then I ended up in a situation where maybe you found yourself before, where you're feeling like you're not growing, you're feeling stuck, feeling static, just not, just the lack of progress. And now looking back, I look at that 11-year period of my life, and I'm like, man, most of it was just doing what I had to do, kind of in drone mode for a while, towards the end especially. So, and it took me a long time though to realize that's not how I want to live the rest of my life. I want to do something with it. So it was good, I was climbing through the ranks, making good money, but not making money that would ever create wealth that I could potentially pass on and there'd be a legacy. But I was on that traditional path. Tuition assistance, got a bachelor's. That pretty much sums up. Towards the end of the career, I'm walking in and feeling very much, it's a gloomy day, and every day was Groundhog Day for me, towards the end. But everything that I learned in that process allowed me to operate the way I do today. And so all of the sales skills, all of the interactions with customers, all of the things that eventually I was like, man, this kind of sucks. Babysitting, for lack of a better term, with managing a bunch of lovely retail employees. Sometimes that's the way it can feel. So, but all of that, wherever you're at now, you're building skills that even though I kind of hated my job, I was earning something. I was earning equity in myself that they could never take away. That I could never lose. And so, no matter where you're at, even if you feel like, oh man, if I feel stuck right now, there's value in there's opportunity to build value in yourself in everything that you do. But one day I made a decision, I'm like, hey, I'm out of here. But that was just kind of the start because I failed. I failed at day trading, I failed at e-commerce, affiliate marketing. That's before it was e-commerce, it was called affiliate marketing back in the day. SEO was kind of a much bigger thing at the time. This was right around 8 or so years ago. Then I had an auto detailing business, and that was successful for a while, but then ended up needing a lot of labor and not being very scalable for what I was very new into the idea of entrepreneurship. So pick something, if you're thinking ahead of time about creating a business, think about something with reoccurring revenue and think about something that's scalable. Be thinking that far ahead. And of course you could scale an auto detailing business, but it wasn't the type of business that I really was ever passionate about anyway, and that plays into it a lot. So I tried them, they all failed. But then I had my first personal development coach and enthusiast who kept me going. Just gave me this quote here, and success is walking from failure to failure with no loss of enthusiasm. And probably someone who's failed more than anyone. So I found this video. I was scrolling through the University of YouTube. Have you ever gotten caught in a rabbit hole and gone down? Yeah, so there's great things on there. There's also, cat videos and slow motion like videos and all sorts of stuff that will just entertain you for hours, right? So, and people love video. Like Tina said, start putting out video, people will see video. That's how, in fact, I connected with, that's why I'm here actually, is because the first live on Facebook all led to the next opportunity, the next opportunity, the next opportunity. And that was so far out of my comfort zone. I never, that was a weekend. It was a weekend event. It was actually called 10X in GrowthCon. It was in Miami.
Grant Cardone.
Yes. So, life-changing. And going into that weekend, I had no idea that I was going to be like, you're going to go live and then, be so far pushed out of my comfort zone. So be open to doing stuff that you would consider like, oh, I'd never do that. This dude, Phil Kustiovsky, I don't know if you've ever seen him. Awesome guy. First person I've ever seen kind of on the beach telling a story about you can make money with real estate, $0 down, 0 out of pocket, talking to motivated sellers, like this whole world of investing, wholesaling. I had no idea about it before that. I thought you could buy a house cash or with a bank loan. I dabbled in real estate before this. I had rental properties, and I thought that was the way to go for me for a long time. I really thought I didn't have this idea about anything that you could do creative. I called this team. It sounded too good to be true. They're talking about 4- and 5-figure checks. No office. You can call, make calls from your home. You work for yourself. Then I'm sitting in the across the street from Verizon Wireless. There's a pizza parlor, so I'm on my lunch break. I'm sitting there making this phone call to their team, and they basically come down to the point where they wanted $7,000 and to split the first $500,000 in profits for all my deals. And at this time, I have like no idea about the world of real estate, and this just sounds like, but I kind of have an idea of that doesn't sound like a great deal, so I'm gonna say no to that. And it sounded like, well, okay, great, they'll give me the key if I sign my life away, basically, and that didn't seem fair. So I'm like, okay, back to the drawing board, back to YouTube. If there's people out there doing it, I know Phil's not the only one. I'll find a way. So spent my lunch hour on Bigger Pockets. If you guys know or don't know, you should know, Bigger Pockets is like the biggest real estate investing website, forum, message board, and so much more. Great resource to tap into, biggerpockets.com. But I spent my lunch breaks on there just reading and researching and figuring, people are sharing knowledge and info. Any real estate podcast I could get my ears on, I listened to, just totally immersed myself. And these are the actions and that I did, right? But I'm sacrificing things in the process. These are when you're talking about, okay, who are the people that you're hanging out with? Yeah, I had to say no to, I can't go and socialize and hang out on Friday night, like if I'm going to be doing this stuff. I'm working a full-time job, and goes back to, I think, what we've heard earlier about time management and where are you spending your time. But the thing that kept me going was, if they can do it, I can do it. If they're able to do this, and there's people that are actually having success, and thank God for YouTube, because if I didn't actually see that proof of other people doing it, I probably wouldn't, it would sound like, oh yeah, right, I'd actually have to come across somebody that was doing it in real life, locally. Hey, well, here I am. So I started taking action. I started with Craigslist ads. Actually, my first attempt at copywriting was a Craigslist ad for a We Buy Houses type of ad. I had no idea what I was doing, but I was just like, I know I just need to keep taking steps forward. The next step, the next step, the next step. And at the end of so many steps, and I don't know exactly how the path will go, there's a deal. We're going to close a deal. So, whatever you want to do, know the end goal, know the vision, but don't worry about steps 3 through the end, because you really don't know all those steps. Even step 2, like that'll kind of become clear once you do step 1. And you're always just on step 1, the next step, just the very next step, and that will keep you on track to your goal. And you may end up creating a lot more steps than you need to along the way if you've never done it before, but you're going to get there. And then next time you'll take a shorter path, and next time it'll be more efficient. So I didn't try to figure it all out at once. I just kept taking steps. And this is what I came up with, for lack of a better, I'm a local. Need to sell your house? I'm not an agent. I'm a local house buyer. I buy houses in all types of conditions. I can give you a fair offer quickly. If you agree, I'll buy your house on the day of your choice. Heck, I'll even have my mother-in-law help you. You know, if you see this one, last posted 4 years ago. You know, try a little bit of creative copy. My goal here is to be completely anti-corporate, completely just personal. Like, and that might even be too much, but hey, it might give them a chuckle. And to be fair, my girlfriend's mom at the time was very into handiwork and did great carpentry.
Wow.
So it was a fun, like, kind of inside joke too. So, but I got out there. I took action, and finally I got a call from the elusive motivated seller. There they were. So the first wholesale deal I did, they wanted $89,000. I didn't really know how much I should pay. I just knew, I didn't know like numbers. I didn't even really know like 65%, 70%. I just knew like I had to get it low. So I offered 50. They wanted 89. I knew I could sell it for over 50. That was my goal. I was like, I knew I could sell it for something over 50. It was actually a mobile home, like a 1970 something mobile home. And there's pictures of it. So, still working my corporate job, went over there, visited them. They wanted to cash out and move to Arizona. This is in Oceano. They wanted more house for their family, so I made my offer and the seller said no. It was my first rejection. I thought like all this, I went to all this trouble and they said no. So I just kept at it, just persisted. Thought, dang it, almost got the Roadrunner, but no, not quite. So back to the drawing board. You know, same thing. If they can do it, you can do it. If I could do this, you could do this. Like that just kept me going along with just every day. I'm walking into Verizon, just thinking, if they can do this, I can do this. If they can do this, I can do this. And just, you know, talking to my friends who were somewhat like-minded, and then became more and more like-minded as things went along, and then now actually has gotten involved in real estate and actually is now one of my business partners. So just keeping that mindset and just staying strong with it and letting other people know, because then they can hold you accountable too, but they've got to be the right friends, you know, they got to be the right, so it's so important who is in the circle. But I kept failing. But one day they called back. So as time goes on, motivation has the tendency to go up, right? And it sure can. And so they agreed to the $50,000 because they realized that what they were asking really wasn't realistic. Back to Craigslist. So I'm like, okay, what's the next step? I hadn't even thought about this. Okay, well they actually signed it. All right, well, now what am I going to do? Well, I guess, I got to market it, so that's what everyone says to do. So back to Craigslist. Again, free marketing, no pay-per-click. Not the most efficient. There's lots of, if you've ever shopped for a deal on Craigslist, lots of people on there that aren't a fit, to say, so to speak. But finally, someone came along, gentleman who used his retirement, took a distribution from his 401k to buy the house for him and his wife to retire in. And it was a great fit because they were going to live there, they were going to fix it up. It was a very livable condition home, you know, so this wasn't like some of the ones I've done fire damaged and stuff like that. It was super livable, and they got a great deal. I marketed it for $59,000, and I just knew that might have been too low, looking back. Now the Zestimate is like 200 and something, so it's, but don't listen to Zestimates, but still, that's when it's like, dang, that maybe you left some on the table there, but it's okay. It's so much more important to get started. You can get efficient after you get started. The biggest thing is first, get the train moving off the tracks. You're going to burn a lot of coal up front, but it's okay. You can get more and more efficient as you get going. You're going to be able to go faster and operate in a much more efficient manner. So the deal closed. It worked. $6,500 is what I made on the first deal. And that was really more than I had ever made on a single Verizon check. So it was cool because I created this out of like basically I didn't swing a hammer and like it actually worked. So it became real. So the next step, put some money back into the business. I'm still working at Verizon, invested in a direct mail campaign. Some of you may have, you may know what a yellow letter is, or a postcard, an investor postcard, pretty common, but that's what I did next. Kept failing forward, did some more wholesale deals, and found my first fix and flip. So on the first fix and flip deal, I presented 3 offers. If you give your seller, I used what I learned at Verizon. We used to have accessories. You ever wonder why they bring out a basket of accessories? They have to sell a certain amount of accessories. So what's easier to sell accessories when you bring a basket out? So when we show them 10, they're going to take 3. So that's how we used to hit the goals at Verizon. So translating, kind of what I learned, presented 3 offers, 1 cash offer, 2 seller financing offers, and odds are they're going to say yes to one of them, and they did. So I did my first fix and flip with 0 down, out of pocket, in Santa Maria. $792 a month for 6 months, and got it done just before 6 months. Maxed out the credit cards in the process, the whole deal. And looking back, it definitely wasn't one of my best now, but it was my first, and so it was like, there's something to be said for that. So before and after, you've all seen renovated homes, so no biggie, but just to give you an idea, I knew nothing about, I really didn't know what I was doing. Like I had the entire time, I had the feeling, like if you've had the feeling like you don't know what you're doing, but you're doing something, like, you know what I mean? I really had, I have no idea what I'm doing. But I just knew, okay, keep step by step by step, and then eventually we got to the last step. Now I feel like, oh, okay, I know what I'm doing. So you'll have that shift in anything. 2 weeks later, I'm out. I'm like, hey, Verizon, I gotta go. It's been real, it's been good, but hey, it's time. So, boom. Friendly Flipper wasn't a thing back then. Actually, that's much newer. But this photo we took earlier in the year on the anniversary, on the 3rd-year anniversary in January. So, it was January 7th, 2005 to January 7th, 2016. So that's when I took that picture. January this year to celebrate full-time in real estate. So, hey, spent the next year loving life, doing what I wanted to do, thinking I was really like, oh man, I made it now, like, oh, I'm working for myself, and really, like, I listened to this podcast and I heard this guy talking with a southern accent, talking about this thing called 10X, thinking about like, you can do so much more. And any ideas, any guesses? Ah, yes, there, indeed. So it was actually my Real Estate Mentors podcast that I was listening to. It's called 8-Minute Millionaire. And again, just absorbing as much, Justin Williams and Terry Williams. Okay, cool, awesome, yeah. So I was listening to that, and that's where I heard Grant first. And that was crazy, because that was just in the last 3 years. That was that was 2016. So it just incredible. I had no idea. I didn't ever use really social media before that. I didn't all these things. So Grant made me think like it was like a reality check. I was like, man, I could be doing a lot more, and this guy's onto something. And like, so what's this deal about this 10X? So I bought a ticket to GrowthCon. I'm like, what the hell? I've never been to Miami. Let's check it out. Didn't know what to expect. I'd never been to a self-improvement seminar in my life. None of that stuff. Never been to a Realty 411 event. Nothing. So you're already a step ahead if you're here. So it's like, I thought people that walked on fire were weird, you know, the whole Tony Robbins thing. I didn't know, I wasn't like of that mindset. I didn't think about law of attraction. I didn't, nothing like that. But I went, and it changed my life. Like, I realized, like, Grant, like, just like slapped me, like, you could be doing so much more, basically, is the message I got. And so from there, that's when I started taking massive action, really massive action, like, where I decided, okay, I'm gonna not hide behind